often. So thanks for joining. Welcome to another episode of Game of Pros. We're going to review Game Week 25, 5 very interesting games before moving on to a preview of Game Week 26. And then a quick, brief roundup of the Top Gunz Cup. So the very first game that kicked off Game Week 25 was a comeback game for Sham against Greg, which he won by 40 points to 28. We've got Sham on the podcast. So Sham, do you want to talk us through it?
I can talk through it. I won. But just, it's just like it's. I'm still not playing great. This is the first time I've got 40 points in the last. I think I got it 4 game weeks ago. So it's it's quite crazy. I'm still in that transitional phase. The players are now coming back. Saying that, I just went and loaned Aubameyang out for the next game week. But in theory, I do have Hazard back now, Salah and P, alongside KDB, Pascal Grosch, performing, and I've got my 2 Liverpool players in defence and Rashford as well. So I'm ready for the end of the season for the last push to reclaim that title, or claim that title anyway.
Yeah, it sounds good going forwards. I see Rashford stayed on form for you throughout that period of time when you had the players loaned out, and 40 points isn't a bad score to be looked down on. So credit to you to come back strong after a few losses that saw you fall off the top of the league and now reclaim it. So well done to you there.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's luck. I think getting rid of Hazard, Pogba when he was on tremendous form is near a Simmons deal. So, I'm looking for the long game, and I didn't care about losing. But the silver lining is that over the, while in that transitional phase, I still picked up 2-3 wins, and I'm now still top of the table. So, the table's now closed up a little bit. I don't have that lead, and there's no buffer. But it's now time for EFR to, get some consecutive wins up.
Well, we'll see about that. Looking at Greg's team, he's got really strong midfield, but it's just not firing. I think the issue is coming down to the lack of game time that Shaqiri and Mahrez get. Richarlison, obviously, great player, just like Walcott. I believe Walcott's leaving his team as well, actually, right? Is there any news on that, Dan?
I haven't seen about Walcott. Did he give him away on a waiver?
So that's part of the. Yeah, so that is part of the a deal for my round leader or my league leader sacrifice. I sacrificed Lamela for any of his players, and he chose to give up Theo Walcott.
So he picks another attacking midfielder who doesn't play every game and doesn't always pick up points. Just what his team needed. Yeah.
So he picked up Lamela. He gave me Walcott. I took the first opportunity to dump him to the farm. I guess it's what Greg should have done ages ago. Walcott is a tremendous player, ex-Arsenal. Loved watching him play when he was younger. But he's inconsistent, and Everton are rebuilding as well. So, do they really need that person on that side? They really want Calvert-Lewin in and Richarlison. So they're trying to build their attacking team, and I don't see Theo Walcott being there.
And they're desperately struggling for form anyway. Looking at Greg's team, potentially he had Mahrez, Walcott, Richarlison and Coleman all doubling up in this game week. So a decent return for even 1 or 2 of those would have caused Sham problems. But that's the trend they're on. They're not playing particularly well.
Yeah, on paper, not a bad team from Greg. Lloris in goal will always get him some clean sheets along the way, with Spurs doing so well in the Premier League. Maguire, Rice coming up to form quite recently, and Troy Deeney, a great striker to have. Not really a top-rate striker, but definitely will get goals every other week. I would say 1 in 2, 1 in 3 games. So on paper, not a bad team, but just not coming together for Greg. Like you say, making decisions to bring in another attacking midfielder who doesn't get much time on the pitch is where Greg's falling down, I think.
Yep, I agree with that.
But he's starting to be more active. He picked up Batshuayi on the waivers this week, who was very highly in demand. Yeah, he's actively trying to get out of this situation. So good luck to him.
I did see that, and I was questioning whether that was part of his feeder mentality, that he's going to give him away, or is he going to keep that dry?
Not to me this time. I mean, I do feel a bit bad when I look at Greg's team. I think most of those players have passed through Ausfall and reserves in order to get there. He just... Yeah. I think it's better off using some of those big names to trade to get some more consistent names in, particularly in midfield.
There are some really good players in his team. Lucas Digne was single-handedly won me the second round to get me my back-to-back championship, because he got 45 points in the last in a 5-game stint. It was crazy where he got in 19, 17 points, then 2, then 1, then 12 points. So it's he got some amazing runs, but recently he's being forced to carry out some special tackles, which has got him into unfortunate situations with the referee, and had to deal with some red cards and game suspension. So if he can get that sorted, other players, he's got Arnautovic in now as well. I see him winning, like you said, John, 1 in 3, 1 in 2.
Well, that could spoil things because I've got him next week, so hopefully it remains at 1 in 3.
Yeah.
Well, he's also benefiting from the poor form of others, particularly James. So he's still bottom, but he's not too far adrift.
Yeah. Okay, any more on that match?
I think that's it. I mean, to be honest, this was the most boring
dullest
match.
Game of the round.
This was the dullest game of the round when you looked at everyone else's results.
Okay, so congratulations to Sham on that match. We'll move on to the next one, which was an exciting game between the Cronutters and Jon Snow FC. My team were victorious, a great 60 points versus Abu's 25. I think that it was a great performance all round. There was points from almost everybody on the pitch, except for Cody. So Cody was a loan that came in from Dan while building the Chelsea team. Also, a huge thank you to Dan for Pogba. Pogba scored well for us on his debut whilst on loan, and set up a great goal for Rashford. So thank you very much for that. But 60 points, we could have got 67 66 had we brought on Koscielny, but we believe that he was injured prior to the match, so we had him on the bench. That would have been a record-breaking score for us to beat Abu, a team that we haven't beat in this league before. So very proud over here, and we just keep continuing game on game, getting stronger and stronger.
So I wouldn't say it was the most exciting of games. It was fairly comprehensive in the end. Even if City hadn't had the double game week, it still would have been a fairly comfortable win. Abu struggling a little bit with his forwards in particular. Mitrovic in one of his spells of not scoring a great deal. Lukaku's starting to get back on the pitch, but it's still very much second fiddle to Rashford and Kane carrying injury. So his attack hasn't been firing for a little while now. And then Sane, obviously, again, double game week.
And he plays
59 minutes.
Oh, 59 minutes. Yeah, just got 1 point with a 180 minutes of game time or games. Again, only plays 60 minutes. Shocking.
In his defence, he did lend me Aspilicueta. So Sass did less for him than Cody did for you. But again, it's not going to make a material difference to the result.
Yeah, not a bad team from Abu. I thought that Babel would have performed being new to the team. Mitrovic, a very great striker for Abu, didn't really come through on this game week. And as you say, Lukaku playing second fiddle to Rashford isn't ideal at the moment with Kane being out injured. So a bit of an unlucky one for Abu. And yeah, congratulations to my team for the second league leader that we've beaten this round. So not much more to add on this game from me. Anything else, guys?
No, another solid display by yourselves. You are on some great form. I think you've only got one loss in the last 8. I think the stats are.
Last nine.
Last 9. But still haven't
prepared.
Yeah, but you still haven't won a round. So there's something missing. But you're near or nearabouts, which is good. You've come up from 8th position to 6th. You're now 11 points back from the lead. So, you're climbing well. Your team is good. Your team is strong.
I think the league, certainly the top 2/3 of the league, has crunched together more than I thought it would. I thought it would end up into kind of 3 leagues. And I think the bottom 3 are still very much by themselves, but the top 1st to 7th is still pretty tight considering we're this far through the season.
I'm just glad to be a part of it.
You're in the right league, not the wrong league.
Okay, so the next game was a tough one between Mihir and Binesh. Mihir was quite anxious to win that one, but speaking to him throughout the weekend, he kind of had given up, thinking that Binesh had run away with it until the very end when it was a very close game with the double game from Man City, and Laporte and Jesus got goals, which had Mihir climbing around, thinking that he was going to try and pull back and win it. In the end, Binesh took this one by 61 to 55, and another strong performance from Binesh. His team, another team that has climbed from the lower parts of the league and is now going strong. A hat-trick from Aguero. Jimenez goals set his team up for victory this week, and there's too much for Mihir to come back from. Losing with 55 points is a very strong performance, but not enough for Binesh this week.
Yeah, I agree. It's that Aguero hat-trick that killed it. I mean, looking at Mahir's team, I think he got sucked a little bit into the double game week, and the double game weeks are always tricky for how to play. But that's the only explanation I can think of for why Zuma was on the pitch rather than Lindelof, which would have won it for him. Just a little unfortunate. Yeah, it does come down to that hat-trick from Aguero.
Okay, if there's nothing more to add, we can move on to the next game, which was Chelsea versus which was Aspall Reserve versus Nick's Weidenbauer. Do you want to take it away, Dan, and tell us what you did, how you did it? 91 points is a...
Where was the thought process, in trying to build this? When did you start?
You have to look at my media comms for full details and full kind of under the hood artistry for how I came about this. But the short answer is I just chucked everything at Chelsea, and it paid off. It could have backfired spectacularly. Thank you to all of the managers who loaned me players for this experiment. I do feel a little bit sorry for Nick with 71 points and still losing, which is, I think the previous highest losing score was 51 before that. But again, for the second week in a row, it was quite nice to stop worrying by Saturday afternoon, and the result never really in doubt despite Nick's strong score. When we started building, it was the week before, so we could bring in the Wolves defenders to offer out to people and bring back the Wolves players afterwards for a future event. Yeah, it could have all ended so very differently. The frustrating thing for me actually is in my commitment to doing this properly, I brought in Giroud and had to give Benesh Jimenez, which meant I lost the round. Otherwise, despite comfortably outscoring Benesh on points, it wasn't quite enough. With his draw against you last week, John, tipping him over.
Just looking at Nick's team, do you think that the 71 points was a freak score, or should we be watching out for Nick's team going forward? Because 71 is a very strong score.
Well, I think Reed getting 13 is the anomaly in there, but beyond that, yeah, he's got solid fantasy points players in there. They're not necessarily star players for their teams, but Walker, Young, Van Aanholt, Trippier is on their day a good solid back four.
Maybe one of the best in the league.
But equally, all of those players are hit and miss this season.
Reed is definitely the anomaly. Like 13 points, you don't expect Cardiff to beat teams, any team, let alone Bournemouth.
Who just smashed Chelsea as well.
Yeah. So
I was particularly happy that I used wild card in the Top Gunz Cup against Song, wiping out 11 points. It wasn't quite enough to tip him out of the competition.
Credit to Nick to get attacked by 4 different people and still come up victorious.
Okay, any more for that game, Shan?
No, great display by Dan. My highest score got rightfully beaten, and it couldn't happen to a better kind of idea of what we like to see in the league. Initial conversations about season 3 is that they're going to restrict single team players in a team, so you can't do this again. So this is going to stand out in the history of Game of Thrones, and
within our rules,
within draft you can't have more than they're going to add that in so that you can't have more than 3 people in a team.
What a terrible idea.
Yeah, so this may be the last time we see something like this happen. May I say, but incredible. 91, it won't get beaten. The first season it was Ed who got 84, and then myself with 82 this season, and now Dan with a completely new look and unique way of doing these things and got 91. I don't see that being broken for the rest of the season.
At the same time, I didn't think we'd beat 82 this season. Ed's score last year with a team, a league of 6 is one thing, but 82 with a league of 10, I didn't think we'd be beaten. So, yeah, we'll see.
Great stuff, Dan. How are we looking for next week? Is the team complete?
Yeah, I think we're there. I think we're umming and ahhing about 1 or 2 players on the bench, but I think we'll see a very orange outlook for next week.
Okay, it's not going to be a mix of any Rondons, is it?
Not this week.
Okay then. Cool. On to the final game of the week, which was Ed versus James, and a battle of 8th and 9th place. Ed, who's on a bit of a roll at the moment, took this one 45 points to 30. So it's a good score from Ed. I credit a solid defence in that one there for Ed. His defence picked up 25 points. And
even Leno in goal getting 5 as well was a good return.
Very, very strong performance from Ed there. Strikers, 6 points from 3 strikers, pretty decent. Everybody, no goals, but everybody performing. So, yeah. James, on the other hand, I think that he may be losing his way. 0 points throughout the round. Maybe the distance is getting to him. Maybe he needs his technical director to step in. I don't know. Where does he go from here?
That's the question. I think he's just in freefall, and this was his last chance to salvage some dignity out of the round and failed. It's not often Ed scoring 15 points more than someone, where Ed's won before. He's kind of got narrow victories and low scoring victories, but this was fairly comprehensive. Strip out Millie's 11 points from midfield, and James was on a bit of a hiding to nothing there. I mean, you look at his defence and you think Chilwell, Keane, Robertson, Ake. Again, it's a bit similar to Nick in that they're solid fantasy players, and on their weeks, a good week, you could easily see them returning 25 points as Ed's defence did for him.
It was definitely a problem with the fixtures on his side. It was unfortunate that the double game week for Everton, which should have had him picked up some good points from Pickford and Keane. It was against Man City and Arsenal.
When's the last time Everton kept a clean sheet?
Very good question. I actually don't know the last time they've kept a clean sheet.
Against Huddersfield away.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, they're not 6 clean sheets all season. That's not.
And Keane's
not someone I'd be backing.
Yeah.
2 of your back 5 for.
Yeah. And then Palace playing a blinder against Liverpool, West Ham, playing amazingly well. Felipe Anderson running down the flanks, keeping them right at pace. The pressure was on against Liverpool right from the first minute. And then Bournemouth against Cardiff. Who would have put any money on Cardiff beating Bournemouth after Bournemouth's display against Chelsea? So it's not something that you can look at from before the game started and think, okay, I only think that this team's only going to get 30 points. You look at the back four and you're thinking, okay, well, possibly they can get 20 points from the back line. But just didn't happen that way. It just the fixtures was just against people, and it just comes down to tiredness in the games. Bournemouth playing their heart out against Chelsea and dominating, celebrated that win against Chelsea, and then went to Cardiff very lethargic, did not run down the flanks as much as they did against Chelsea. It was a completely different team. And you can see that they lost a couple of clicks on their pace.
But he is trying to make changes. He's picked up Almiron and Suarez this week. So he is trying to tinker, trying to get a formula that breaks the rut.
Great dynamic midfielders with Almiron anyway, and Suarez. But I feel like with Suarez, with the way Arsenal play, I don't think assists were their issue. Their issue was the build-up from midfield, and that's where they need Suarez to come in, to take the ball off Torreira, to run down the middle, pass it on to Lacazette, who then crosses it into Aubameyang, or passes it on to Mkhitaryan, who crosses it over to Lacazette to score in the middle. In the previous games, you saw Lacazette play more in the central midfield position, and march forward and run past the midfield line and the defensive line to go in to try and attack. So Suarez will be that, I think they call it the Manfoto, where you've got the midfielder that runs in to creates the play and pass the ball onto the attacking player to actually make the assist or make the strike. So it'll be interesting to see if Suarez can get on some decent fantasy teams. He'll definitely be an impact for Arsenal, but in terms of fantasy football and points, I don't see it being more than 3.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Just very much reminds me of the Kim Kallstrom signing a couple of years ago. A highly regarded, technically skillful footballer who's just, the January transfer window is a gamble, and just to adopt to a team that doesn't necessarily have the cover behind, or the holding midfield is really dependable. Everyone in that team wants to go forward and attack, so it's not the safest of environments to walk straight into.
Well, being an Arsenal fan, I would hope he would be a bit more than Kim Kallstrom.
He's not injured. I guess that's one starting point. But has over Custer.
Yeah. It depends on how Emery likes to play. I mean, if he plays like he did against Tottenham against in the 4-2 game, play a narrow front two with Lacazette and Aubameyang chasing down the centre backs, like, you know, tiring them out, and then bringing Suarez in, have him sit a little bit higher up, so, and then Aubameyang and Lacazette move further away, work on the right, on the wing backs. The centre backs will naturally go out to the width, and then Suarez can run into the middle. If that's Emery's tactics, then possibly you can see Suarez getting some goals, like we saw with Ramsey in certain games. But I don't see that happening. I feel like Suarez will be a build-up player from the midfield into the to the attack of Mkhitaryan, Aubameyang, and Lacazette.
Okay, so that wraps up an exciting game week 25. Following the game week, there was a lot of movement in the table. Unlike previous weeks, Sham reclaimed top space with Abu falling down to second place. Binesh and Dan, with their victories, jumped Nicholas, who fell down to fifth place. And I'd say probably the most informed team in the league, Jon Snow FC, climbed the table one position above Mihir.
So at least they've gone from best team in the league to most important.
Most improved.
Most improved. Okay.
Yeah. I don't think there's a team out there who have been unbeaten for as long as we have. So,
sorry,
I've won the last 4.
Yeah, and Nick is in the lead with winning in the last 8.
Binesh has
So
won 4 and drawn 1.
he's won 8 in the row.
In the last 9 matches, we've lost once.
No, yeah, but in a row, what's your win streak at the moment?
Well, let's look at game week 25.
No. Keep going back.
So let's just look at game week 25, shall we?
No, that's not what my question was. That's let's not beat around the bush. You say you've got an incredible record. Like, no one's doubting that. Like, 9 games, and 8 wins. That's great.
Yeah.
But,
1 draw.
So yeah, that sucks. So it's not complete win.
So I'd say against all odds, Binesh is probably the form team with
finishes the
round winner, 4 wins, 1 draw.
And then you lost in game week 21. So you've only got 1, 2. Do we count the draw?
But
I guess so. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then that's 4 you've got on the trot, and that has a caveat in that with a draw against Binesh. So yeah, I agree. I think Binesh. I mean, no offense. I think you've got a very good team, John. But let's call it as it is, right?
I think that you're correct in what you say in terms of Binesh's short-term record, but I was talking about improved. So if you look at
improved,
if you look,
Binesh came back from a loss of 10 in a row. And to come back, and he's third in the league, and he's on. He's the current round 5 champion. So how far back do you want to go?
Okay, you're right. We'll keep working.
Yeah. No, I mean, I like your team. You've built a fantastic team. With the loss of Aubameyang, you really did struggle, but you kept your head down, made some good deals, made some good negotiations. You've got a very good team, a good midfield, and you still have Lacazette up front. So it is a very good team, but it's nothing like what you're saying is the most improved in the league. That has to go down to Binesh.
Okay, so game week 26, the first game is Egg Fried Rears versus Flying Pigs. If we can hear your thoughts on this, Sham.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure about this one. If I was going through some changes, I'm sure I've mentioned many times before. So I really don't know what my team can deliver. I've given out Aubameyang to Nicholas to play against Mihir, given VVD to Mihir to play against Nick. I've given Johnny and Jota to Dan to build his creation. So I have Salah and Hazard, so it's nice to have Hazard back. And I still have Rashford. So we'll see where it goes. I don't know. I think I can get more than 40 points, so I'm hoping for a win. Ed does really well, then drops, and then does really well again. So we'll see. We'll see how the game seasons.
I'd say you will grind out another win. I don't think you'll be firing, but it will do enough to beat.
Yeah.
To beat Ed.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I'm going to go on the same page. I'm going to go with Sham. A narrow victory and no more than 45 points.
Yep, I think that's fair.
Okay, next game is James versus Dan. Do you see that one going, Dan?
James is, well, as last week showed, just a slightly inferior version of Ed at the moment. So it's inconsistent. He was unfortunate. I think he lost 3 games in that last round by 1 point. So he had been scoring well. I think it'll be tight. I think a lot depends on how my team looks, and what team turns up on over the weekend.
Well, I think that James's team, they lose a lot, but they don't have such issues scoring points, and that might cause Wolves a problem, where Wolves face Newcastle.
No, he's playing Ausfall in reserves.
Okay, and that match against Newcastle could be a tough one. So I'm going to go James.
I think guaranteed James will be in front on Saturday, Sunday. I'll bet all my players like Hazard, Salah, Aubameyang, Alisson, that James will be in front by Saturday and Sunday. But then I think Monday, Dan will pip the victory.
Okay.
You don't want to take that bet?
No, thanks. No, thanks.
Fair enough.
Okay, the third game will be, I wish we had one of them on the podcast today. It'll be between Nick and Mihir. So, Sham, you seem to be quite involved in this game.
Really? I've seen the screenshots. It's been more you.
I saw a transfer video. Can you tell us?
I did do a transfer video, but I've seen more screenshots with you getting in the middle of these two arguing and turning into this 3 people that should have been on the set of like a Jeremy Kyle show. So why don't you tell us like basically how all of this animosity is started? Where did it start? How did it happen? Where is this grown from?
That's why I was kind of asking you, because I don't know where it's come from. I don't know.
Oh, really? I've seen the screenshots from you speaking to Nick being like aggressive in terms of like, you not being fair to him, you doing him over, and then Mihir, I don't know, somewhere in the middle as well. So, you've seen the emails, you've seen the Jabber chats and the conversations on group messages. I think you would know more.
I think that they've been doctored or photoshopped in some way, because you
lied really well, by the way, but no, that's fine. So what happened is, for me on my side, I'm very open. Mihir came to me at the start of the week asking for some players. Nick also asking for the same, knowing that Mihir was going to be asking me for players again to build another Frankenstein team. I, instead of doing the quote-unquote John way of doing things, I thought I'd sit both of them down, have a fair conversation face-to-face and say, let's hash out a deal. Both of them want a player. I'm all for them to get some loans in. I was willing to help both of them or help none of them. So after sitting down with some tea and coming up with a deal, I think they both were in agreement with BVD going over to Mahir and Aubameyang going over to Nick. So, yeah, I mean, it was expected that Mahir went out and spoke to you, John, and told you, and obviously to add fuel to the fire, you've passed over a number of your players over to him to beat Nick. So Mahir's now got this ridiculous Frankenstein squad. The last time he built a Frankenstein squad, I still beat him. So, we don't know if that's going to be the case here, or, Mahir's not done too well with the Frankenstein team. So let's see if he can come out with it. I'm actually I'm still going to pick Mahir because the odds are still in his favour with Sterling and a handful of other players, VVD players sitting in the back as well. In his squad, he's got Mane. He's got a very good squad, so I think he will win. But then it is dependent on that Huddersfield game for Arsenal. If Aubameyang's been just shooting to miss, so if he can start getting some goals in, I think he'll go on a crazy streak and get 3 to 4 goals. And if he does that, then it's Nick to win it.
Yeah, just to reiterate, I don't know how this started or why it started, but what I do know is that Nick approached me for players. I listened and I heard him out. Mahir approached me for players. And when I weighed up the two options, what I was getting in return from Mahir was a much better deal for me and my team. So I've lent out 3 players, which will harm us greatly this week. But yeah, that's all I know about it. And I was able to give over Mane, Sterling, and I forget now. Please, it's Mane, Sterling, and Alderweireld. That's right. Yeah, to Mahir. So if Nick can have a match like he had last week and pick up 71 points or anything like that, I think that this will be the second time that Mahir builds a Frankenstein team and loses. But I just think that Mahir will be able to clinch it this week. So I'm going to go with Mahir on this one.
Yeah, I would say on the balance, slightly better players in. I can't imagine Nick's defence having such a great round. Can't imagine Reed, if he's even still there, doing anything. I'd go for a Mahir victory too.
Okay. Next up is Binesh versus Abu. How do you see that one going down?
Well, the way the form is, I would go for Binesh winning and overtaking Abu in the league. Abu's running from hot and cold quite quickly. Binesh has been building up a solid set, or building up some steam, getting a bit of momentum going. And he always gets very upset when I predict for him to lose, and then he ends up winning. So if I predict that he wins, perhaps the opposite will happen. Also, I'm hoping that the time he's spent producing the Top Gunz Cup has meant he's taken the eye off the ball.
Yeah, that was a good shot. Yeah, I was struggling with his forwards at the moment. Lukaku not firing. Fulham are playing. Who are Fulham playing this game week?
Fulham against United.
Against United. So De Gea is on a tremendous form. So I don't see Mitrovic getting a handful. I think it is for Binesh to win. To be honest, I think he doesn't. I don't think Binesh has to do much to actually come back with a win, and that's just down to Abu's current form.
Although Abu has been very active in the free trades, I saw. So
who's he
he's
picked up?
jettisoned quite a few players. He's brought in Snodgrass, Mickey, and Tielemans, who might be an interesting signing.
Oh no! Every time he picks up Mkhitaryan, then he always ends up with double points or something. So, possibly the same could happen again. But no, I put my hat into Binish to win.
Yeah, very quick one from me. I'm going to go Binesh based on the form of both teams. Binesh has been a lot stronger, and Abu seems to be a bit hit and miss since the injuries and the lackluster performances from his Arsenal and Man United players. So Binesh on this one for me.
The actual most improved team in the league, right?
And the last game of...
Right, John? Did you not get that?
I missed that. Sorry, did you say something?
The actual most improved team in the league.
Yep, the actual most improved team in the league. And the final game of Game Week 26 is Johnson FC versus Giants Bane. And I'll kick off by saying that I believe that this will be a very close one due to the players that we've loaned out this week. And
who have you got back in from your loans?
Who did we get in? We got in Lucas Moura, Zaha, and Delafeu.
So
good players.
3 good players who've all been quiet for a little while. They'd fit in well with Greg's team.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to go Greg on this one.
I would disagree. I think he's still got a bit more strength and depth than Greg has. Greg's relying on a masterclass from Shaqiri or Mahrez to come and dig him out of trouble. I think you'll probably still have enough. Also, losing Sterling when they're playing Chelsea isn't such a bad move.
And Chem?
Actually, yeah. You know what? I agree with you. For the first time ever, John, I'll agree with you. I think it's going to be Greg to win. He's been getting some good points before, so I think he'll round up. I think Richarlison having that rest game, he's going to be fully rested for this game now. Shaqiri's always plays well. Lamela, I think Spurs will do well against Leicester because they want to take revenge since the last time they played. So yeah, I think Greg.
Okay. So that concludes the predictions for Game Week 26. Let's now move on to the Top Gunz Cup. Which one of you guys feels prepared or brave enough to tackle that?
Well, just very quickly before we get kicked out, I'd say it's an interesting first round. It's a great cup. All credit to Benesh for setting this up. It's definitely the second best cup we've had all season.
Definitely the best. Definitely the best. We'll put out a vote.
I'm slightly worried or disappointed that I've gone in hard too early with 100 well, I haven't seen the final stats, but it's 150 odd points.
I think it's 164.
Sad to see Abu go, but it's a lesson in how to use your wild cards properly. I think if he hadn't used that against Bournemouth, he would probably still be here. And James paying the price for just his rotten run of form.
Okay. Are you guys getting kicked out of the room or still got time?
At the moment, no one's peering over, but we have other meetings in there. But just briefly, it's been a great cup. Binish has done an amazing job. I think we're going to do separate Top Gun Cup podcasts anyway. It's going to be like an audio cast, video cast that Binish and I think Binish and myself or the whole commissioners. You as well?
Not sure.
Okay. either the two of us or including Dan as well, where we just discuss each game and discuss the wild cards and the boosters. But so far, an amazing cup, one of the best in the season, or is the best, to be honest. Let's hope there's no mega problems later on. But yeah, going well. I enjoy it.
I agree. Great videos, great concept. The comms have been great. And only congratulations I want to say is to Nicholas for some reason, even though he's got a few words for me, I can imagine after the transfer that's just taken place. But well done to his team for surviving the attacks on his team and coming through and going on to the next hop. So well done to Nicholas.
Brilliant. All right, awesome. Well,
Okay.
thank you very much.
Thanks for coming on, guys. That concludes this round and this podcast. So on to next week and the next round. So wishing you all the best.
Can't wait. All right. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Bye.